Texas and Florida leading in tort reform, bringing more business and economic growth to the southern boom belt states. It's according to the Texas Conservative Coalition Research Institute and the James Madison Institute. TCCRI was founded in 1996 by a group of state leaders determined to implement conservative public policies in state government based on the principles of limited government, individual liberty, free enterprise, and traditional values. Florida-based JMI is dedicated to the ideals of limited government, economic freedom, federalism, and individual liberty, coupled with individual responsibility. The Center Square contributor Bethany Blankley reports their new joint report argues that Texas and Florida's economic dominance is the direct result of a multi-decade effort to create a predictable civil justice environment. Now, these reforms spurred the business investment, population growth, and capital inflows that defined the boom belt. They also argue that the competitive edge is under threat by trial lawyer organizations. In Florida, the Florida Justice Association targeting pro-business politicians to unseat in-state legislative races, according to the JMI. In Texas, plaintiff-aligned groups are funding candidates and political action committees to weaken reforms the state legislature has implemented in Texas. Now, Texas and Florida, as they continue to enjoy that period of unprecedented economic growth, according to these organizations, you've got different things happening across the country when it comes to tort law. And what is tort reform? Well, essentially, tort reform, it's about proposed changes to the civil justice system, looking at limited liability and restricting the ability of personal injury lawsuits and different types of litigation that can really increase business costs in any state where it's more litigious. It can also tie up courts. The more litigious a state is, those are taxpayer-funded courts dealing with controversial issues above and beyond personal injury and so on. But Texas and Florida leading what the groups are calling the boom belt states. They argue the boom belt states include Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas. But to demonstrate how different states take on the issue of tort reform, California recently discussed this with Assemblymember Lori Wilson last month, raising some concern about opening up litigation too much to allow for private rights of action. That's an individual suing a company in court for various reasons. Here she is.
And last but not least, I support civil action that you have in the bill by the Attorney General, City Attorney, County Council. But for the individual consumer, even though it's no longer monetary damages, but injunctive relief, I still think is an issue. I mean, when we think about litigation risk and this particular part of the private right of action, remember every time you go into a court case, involved in a court case, that is costly. And so every business or retailer that is spending their time battling courts are spending resources, which drives the cost up for everyone.
Measure ended up passing 29-9. It's a different story down in Louisiana last month with a state senator saying that litigation should be based on common sense, not based off of controversial policy debates.
Louisiana needs reliable and affordable energy to power our farms, our homes, our businesses, and our future. Farmers who rely on petroleum-based fuels, fertilizers, and equipment, and the landowners who benefit from the responsible energy development on the property deserve certainty that they won't be dragged into novel coastal global climate litigation over lawful emissions. The bill simply says the claims seeking damages for climate change or its alleged effects from greenhouse gas emissions should not be litigated in our state courts. It does not prevent anyone from suing for violations of actual permits enforcement under the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act. Those strong federal and state laws already exist precisely for companies or individuals who exceed their permitted emission. This bill simply keeps our courts focused on real, provable violations instead of worldwide policy debates.
So while different states look to make their states less litigious, other states seeming to open up the possibility for private rights of action against corporations or businesses, and it's impacting the economic outcomes in those states, according to these certain individual organizations researching this issue.